Hi, this is Chanel. Hope you're doing well. In this video, I want to talk about the importance of understanding true knowledge. Okay, so the importance of understanding true knowledge. A lot of people have information. Okay, let's say a person, and I talk about understanding people quite a bit, okay? And working around and being around both groups and individuals who tend to judge what they see in a moment or in an instance, or maybe if they're digging through past information, maybe notes from 20 years ago or whatever the case may be. There are many people in this world who judge. I'll say this first. There are people who may have bits and pieces of information, however, they lack true knowledge about a person or a situation at its entirety. Okay? So again, a lot of people judge off of a piece of information. However, they lack true knowledge because they do not have an understanding of a person or situation at its entirety. So think about a piece of fruit. Okay, let's think about really any fruit. But let's think about a watermelon. Okay? So let's say you have a watermelon, right? So a watermelon, most of them on the outside are green, right? The core, or not the core, but the skin of it, whatever that's called, the skin of a watermelon is green, right? However, there are layers to the watermelon. That first very thin layer is green. However, you can take a potato peeler and just peel that skin off, and there's a white layer that's probably about an inch, maybe a half an inch thick. Okay, and then there's another layer under that white layer. That third layer down, there's the meat portion, what we would call the meat. So it's either red, most are red, so it's either red or yellow or orange or whatever color it is. Okay. And again, I think a lot of people judge people falsely based on a very thin layer, very small piece of information. However, they have not, maybe they don't understand, they're not wise enough to understand that there are layers to everybody. Okay? And again, people will try to write a paragraph based on a very small piece of information. Okay? So it's just important to understand that just because you may have a piece of information does not mean that you have understanding. A lot of you people lack true understanding and you lack true knowledge because you are adamant about creating a full-fledged opinion about or based on a small piece of information. Okay? And you don't realize that what's most important, again, going back to a watermelon, what you see surface level is that green part is that thin layer. Like I said, you can shave that off. with the potato peeler. That's how thin it is. Okay. When you keep, the further you go down in those layers, because again, there are layers to us, and there are layers to, again, I'm comparing us to watermelons. Okay. So I want you to understand that there are layers to everybody. There should be. Okay. And the further you go down, the more, in a watermelon, again, the thinnest layer is what you see. And the thickest portion of it, the more, the majority of what's contained in that watermelon is not visible from the outside, right? That meaty portion, whether it's red, red, orange, yellow, whatever color the meat is, you can't see from the outside, right? However, that is what, once you cut it open, you'll see that the majority of what's inside of that watermelon is completely different from what you see. What you see is green. However, what's on the inside and contains, and is what, the majority of what's inside of that is not seen. Okay. However, like I said, a lot of you try to base an opinion or create an opinion off of what you can't even see. Okay, that's what I want you to understand. A lot of you create opinions based on a very small portion of information, and you don't realize that the most important part is something that you can't even see. Okay, so I would just encourage you to, if you're going to be opinionated, if you are going to and adamant about being opinionated about someone or something, do get a little closer first. Okay. Peel back some layers first. Okay. You cannot base I think I've just been, clear. I think I've, made my point. Like they say, don't judge a book off its cover. Okay. There are layers to everyone, and I think that a lot of you need to have, or actually don't even have an opinion. If you don't know what's under the layers, you shouldn't have an opinion at all, because you don't know. Okay, you should not have an opinion about something that you do not know. Okay, and so like I said, just be mindful of that when you are going around labeling and judging people or situations or whatever the case may be. Understand that a lot of times you are probably judging someone or something off of a very small, off of very little information. Okay, like I said, again, don't judge prematurely. Okay, because honestly, it shows your ignorance. It shows your lack of understanding, true understanding. So just try not to do that. Like I said, if you don't know, don't act like you know. Okay, and don't spread gossip as if you know, when again there are layers. Okay, understand that. If you don't understand anything else, understand that there are layers to everything, and there are layers to everyone. And another thing that I would kind of compare, I would compare people to a one pot dinner. Okay, so, and that one pot dinner could be different for each person. So, excuse me, let's say a gumbo. I'm from the South. And that's something that I, enjoy cooking and eating is gumbo. Now, gumbo, everybody makes their gumbo differently. So what all is contained in a gumbo, right? It's not gonna, there are multiple ingredients, okay? And whatever makes you would be like whatever, would be like the ingredients that makes that gumbo your gumbo. You understand? And so we're all who we are because of multiple things, right? Let's say, for instance, what makes me me? Okay, the grandparents that I had and their experiences and the things that they taught me make me me, right? I have 4 different or immediate grand. I mean, each. I don't want to get too deep, but the people who pour into us, I'll put it that way. The people who have poured into me and their experiences and their wisdom, or the information that they gave me, helped make me me, helped form the person I am today. My personal experiences, have made me me. Okay, my parents' experiences and what they have taught me make me who I am. My teachers and professors and information that I remember them giving me, whether I was in elementary, middle school, college, whatever the case may be. All of this information would be like put in, would be like ingredients in a pot, right? All of this information is like different ingredients into a pot. All of the ingredients are not the same, right? And as individuals, it's the same with us. Like, we're all different because the things that have been poured into us are different, right? Our experiences are different. Our goals are different. And that is going to create a completely different gumbo, so to speak. You understand? And so, like I said, it's just important to know that what you see on the surface is not your business to judge, because I'm not going to say probably, there is a lot of things that you don't even understand because you're unaware of. You're unaware of it. Okay? And it irks me to see people try to make a quick judgment upon, or place a judgment upon someone or label someone when they know, when they don't understand all of the layers. Okay? And not only all of the layers, but they don't even understand all of that person's experiences in life. They don't understand the experiences of people who poured into them. Okay? And so it's things are rooted from multiple directions. Do you understand? And many things, many layers, many ingredients make us as individuals who we are. Okay? And so, like I said, just try to refrain from acting like you know and understand a person or a situation when you don't, especially when you don't even attempt to ask questions or spend time with that person, or you try to, because this is something else I see a lot. People will try to dig or gain information, and I've said this in videos before. People will try to dig information from gather information from 20 years ago, gather information from 5 years ago, even 5 months ago, whatever the case may be. People will try to dig for information or get information from third parties or whatever the case may be. There are people, a lot of people are very indirect about trying to find out information instead of being direct. And like I said, there are just multiple things that make us who we are. Okay, there are layers to all of us. Okay, so don't judge or don't judge by the cover. Okay, or by that top layer, whatever that is. Okay, because you may have a piece of information, but you more than likely lack true knowledge. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful. I hope you gained something from it. Feel free to write any comments if you would like. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching. Bye.